Possibly some wind damage reported to Turkey Farm 7 miles southwest of Clifton. So 7 miles southwest of Clifton near Turkey Farms. It looks like that was probably just winds associated with it, but we were getting reports of a possible tornado near Clifton. I don't see that on radar. What you're seeing right now is the circulation approaching Laguna Park. So what we're probably seeing is the winds on the backside of this storm, probably causing some damage on at least the east side of Clifton. So that's where those winds could be around 50 to 60 miles per hour. I honestly, from the data that I'm seeing, does not look like that there was a tornado near Clifton, despite some of the reports that we're beginning to see. I really think that the circulation was closer to Valley Mills, but anytime we have a rotating thunderstorm like this, you've got strong winds going in and out, which is what you're looking at here with our storm winds. Those winds can be very broad, and that can also cause some damage when winds get up to around 60 to 70 miles per hour. We also have another report coming in from the emergency manager in Bosque County. Again, that's Tim Jeske. Several trees are down in the city of Clifton along 219 and Highway 6. So we can pass that on to the newsroom. Hopefully we can gather some more information about that. So we have seen some wind damage in and around Clifton, especially down to the south and to the east side of town. There could have been some trees that were blown down. It's going to be too early to say if it was a tornado. What's going to happen is tomorrow the Weather Service will come down and take a look at the damage, and they'll do their official storm report. But considering the storm has had a history of producing some touchdowns, I would not be surprised. But the circulation you see on your screen, that is now approaching the west side of Laguna Park. If there is a tornado in this storm, it is going to be right where you see that just updated there for you, just on the southwest side of Laguna Park. That is where the possible tornado could be developing again. These can touch down very quickly and then go back into these storms. These are not large tornadoes. These will be very small tornadoes, but if they hit a highly populated area, they can definitely cause damage. The reason the word early is on the radar is because what the computer in the radar is doing is analyzing the rotation, and what it's telling me is that it's beginning to strengthen. It doesn't mean that there's a tornado on the ground, but it's telling me that that rotation is beginning to strengthen there on the southwest side of Laguna Park. So if you live in Laguna Park, please take shelter. Weather Service is saying a likely tornado about 7 miles northeast of Clifton now. So right where you see that icon on the screen, probably a tornado either on the ground or beginning to develop, and that is going to head up towards the southern part of Lake Whitney here in the next 15 to 20 minutes. Folks in Laguna Park, around the Lake Whitney area, the city of Whitney, especially on the west side of Whitney, please take shelter now. A bathroom is a great place to go. Cover yourself up with pillows, blankets, protect yourself. Put as many walls between you and the outside world, and you'll be fine. Folks in Valley Mills, you're safe. Clifton, we still have some strong winds wrapping around on the east side of town, but really in Clifton proper, it looks like that the circulation is moving away, so things are going to improve. But again, we're beginning to see some reports of damage from the Bosque County emergency manager, some trees down and maybe some other wind damage, especially on the southeast side of Clifton and on the south side of Clifton as that circulation passed through. Okay, this just coming in from the Meridian Volunteer Fire Department and Bosque County Emergency Manager Tim Jeske confirming that a tornado on the ground south of Laguna Park. So again, the radar indicated that about a couple of minutes ago as the circulation started to tighten. It's going to be right there on the southwest side of Laguna Park. Folks in Laguna Park, as I said, be in your shelter, turn the volume up on your television, listen to my voice. I will let you know when that storm has passed, or if you're streaming us live on your cell phone or on your tablet, we're going to stay with you with the possibility of a tornado within this storm. Again, Emergency Manager Tim Jeske in Bosque County confirming that there is a tornado on the ground. That means one of his spotters or a couple of his spotters have seen the tornado on the ground south of Laguna Park. It is nighttime, so it is going to be very hard to see this. You're not going to be able to see it, so don't go outside and look. Seek shelter as soon as these warnings are issued. Folks in Laguna Park, folks in Whitney, please seek shelter now and wait there until the storm has passed. So again, a possible tornado on the ground. All right, so they are confirming that the tornado south of Laguna Park is on the ground right now. It's still on the Bosque County side where you see that black line. That is where Lake Whitney feeds down into the Brazos River, so it's heading there towards the southern side of Lake Whitney. Folks around the lake, of course, hopefully everyone is off the lake. It wasn't a great day to be on the lake anyways, but that is what they're doing. Fire Department and Rescue reporting that a tornado on the ground south of Laguna Park. Please take shelter. This storm is going to pass well to the northwest of Waco, so no concern for folks in Waco. Folks in Aquila, you'll be safe. Folks in Abbott and West, it is not heading your direction. It is moving north-northeast at about 20 to 30 miles per hour. It will likely be passing here through Laguna Park in the next 5 to 10 minutes. Waiting for the latest scan to update. But as of right now, we are reporting that there is a tornado on the ground near Laguna Park, heading through the city right now as we speak. I'm sure the sirens are going off. Folks in Whitney as well, you have about 10 or 15 minutes before this storm heads in your direction. So folks in Whitney, make sure you're taking shelter as well. A bathroom is a great place to take shelter. Why? Because the pipes that feed the water into your bathroom secure your bathroom to the foundation of your home, and it is a very safe place to be. If you're in a mobile home, please seek shelter in a sturdier building. Find a convenience store, something nearby. A brick home is going to be a safer place than a mobile home. We always see a lot of damage when it comes to mobile homes because they are just not made to withstand strong winds and not made to withstand tornadoes either. The tornado warning is going to continue until 7 o'clock this evening for this part of Bosque County, and then it's going to head into the parts of Hill County. This is heading right towards Lake Whitney as we speak, and will continue to move off towards the northeast. Again, the local fire department's reporting that a tornado on the ground near Laguna Park. That is the latest report we have coming in. And that means that that storm could possibly cause some damage. Folks, hopefully you are in your storm shelter and taking it very safely and making sure that you are in your bathroom, staying safe until this storm has passed. I will let you know when it's okay to come out. I'm going to switch back over here to the radar and show you on top of the tornadic threat. The storm is producing a lot of lightning and thunder, very heavy rain, probably some minor flooding as well. So good idea. Don't travel tonight until these storms are in and out. But you can see very heavy rain, torrential rain falling across parts of Lake Whitney. But the circulation itself and what we've been watching is right here on the southern end of the storm, which is circling right on top of Laguna Park. Laguna Park in the bullseye right now with a reported tornado on the ground. That is verified here. On our storm wind mode as well, where you see that bright blue and wherever you see the dark green coming together, that is winds going in and winds going out of that storm, and that is where that tornado has been reported. Now, based on the circulation, it does look like that is passing more on the west side of Laguna Park up towards Lakewood Harbor. Folks there in that community, hopefully you're taking shelter. But where you see the icons, the circulation is likely going to be near the west part of Laguna Park as you travel out Highway 22. So it's probably already crossed Highway 22. It's heading up towards the Lake Harbor area. And what I can do is I'll put an updated storm track on here for you. Excuse me, let me get the storm track on here to show you exactly what we're watching. Again, near Laguna Park, moving off to the northeast at about 25 miles per hour. That's going to put it near the Whitney High School in about 17 minutes, around Huron in around 27 minutes, Shiloh Church in about 42 minutes. And if the circulation holds together, that's going to be heading up towards the Covington area in about 53 minutes. So if you live in any of these communities highlighted here in this storm track, I would go ahead and get prepared to seek shelter. Okay, so we're still dealing with a tornado on the ground near Laguna Park. It's already past Highway 22. It's going to be heading up towards Whitney in the next 30 minutes or so. The Weather Service indicating that there is a debris ball now showing up on the radar. And what that means is the radar is actually picking up on debris that is actually being thrown up by that tornado. So tornado confirmed on the ground near Laguna Park on the Bosque County side of the river and the lake. So it's on the Bosque side of the Brazos River and of Lake Whitney, moving northeastward. Okay, the scan has updated. And let me zoom back in again. We've got a very dangerous situation here developing in Laguna Park. Tornado confirmed on the ground. It is probably already passed here on the west side of Laguna Park, heading towards Lakewood Harbor. Anyone on the south end of Lake Whitney, please seek shelter from this storm. Your bathroom is your best place to go. Stay there until this storm has passed. We've had reports of a tornado on the ground. Right now, it is probably causing damage, and I will let you know whenever that storm clears out of your area. All right, so we're still getting numerous tornado icons indicating that that's where that tornado could possibly be. Now, on the northwest side of Laguna Park, it is getting ready to cross over Lake Whitney. So the southern half of Lake Whitney is probably going to be dealing with that possible tornado on the ground. It was confirmed by the fire department, but I've not seen an update here in the past 5 minutes, but that's why we're staying on air for you. You know, when we have a tornado warning and possibility to loss of life and damage, we're going to be right here with you. Every town is equal, and that's why we are covering up some of this program to give you this information. The tornado probably still there. A good thing, or what typically happens, I wouldn't say a good thing, a bad thing is this tornado is probably rain wrapped. And so you're probably not going to see it, unfortunately. And so that's what we're going to have to be very careful for, because it looks like, let me switch back over to velocity, that the winds are still very, very strong within this storm. And put that kind of into motion. And you can see real quickly where that circulation is, where the dark blue and the dark green come together. That is where that tornado has been confirmed. It's crossed Highway 22. It's on the northwest side of Laguna Park, heading towards the southern part of Lake Whitney, probably going to pass very close to the dam. Okay, here is the updated scan for you. That's what I was waiting for. Here's the updated scan. You see where that darker gray color is, and then that darker blue color? That is winds going into the storm and going out of the storm. And this is the circulation that we've been tracking ever since about an hour ago down in Coryell County. Again, the blue, the winds going in, the gray color, the red color. That means that the winds are getting stronger on the backside of the storm and are rotating this way. So you're getting the rotation here, and it's gotten much, much stronger. Therefore, a tornado has been confirmed on the ground near Laguna Park. That is now heading towards the southern end of Lake Whitney. Folks in Whitney, especially if you live on the west side of Whitney, please seek shelter. I have family that live in this area, and if you're watching me, please take shelter as well. Bathroom is a good place to go. Cover yourself up with pillows, blankets. Protect yourself with as many layers as you can from the outside world, because there is a tornado in this storm right now currently on the ground. It's probably going to be rain wrapped. It's dark anyway, so you're not going to see it. What we're doing is getting those reports in from local storm spotters who have been tracking this storm as it continues through Bosque County. It looks like now the worst of it, once it crosses Lake Whitney and crosses the Brazos River, it's going to be into Hill County. So Hill County emergency managers probably have their storm spotters flying down 22 out towards Whitney to get a good view of this as well. On its current path, the worst of it, if a tornado, it's right in this area. As it continues northeast, it is going to pass very close to the west side of Whitney. As I mentioned, if you live on the west side of Highway 22 in the town of Whitney, please take shelter, stay there. Turn the volume up on your television so you can hear my voice, and then that way we can let you know when you get the all clear. But right now, folks in Laguna Park, stay in your shelter for about another 5 to 10 minutes. But it looks like the circulation, man, that latest scan, I'm telling you, that is much, much stronger. So where you see that red now showing up in the green, that's telling me that the winds are probably increasing around 80, 90 to 100 miles per hour. These are the winds going on the backside of the storm. The darker blue is indicating strengthening winds going in. So yeah, there is a tornado on this storm. It has been confirmed for the past 10 minutes by local fire departments down in Bosque County. But yes, there is likely a tornado now moving into the southern end of Lake Whitney. The circulation, as I mentioned, is going to pass just to the west of the town of Whitney. But if you live anywhere in the city limits of Whitney, you need to be taking shelter now. Bathroom, bathtub, storm shelter if you have one, and a lot of homes here in Central Texas don't, but a bathroom is a great place to go. Gather the family, take some bottles of water with you just in case maybe you lose power. Turn up the volume on your television so you can hear my voice, or hopefully you're streaming us live on our news and weather app too, because that is where that tornado warning is, and we are going to stay with you until this tornado gets out of Central Texas. So again, tornado has been confirmed in this area. The velocity, the storm winds associated with this, very strong. Not seen something like this in quite some time. So there is likely a tornado on the ground passing on the west side of Whitney in the next 5 to 10 minutes. So folks in Whitney, you live along Highway 22, please take shelter. Folks in Laguna Park, you're still dealing with some very gusty winds, so stay in your storm shelter for now. Give me about 5 or 10 more minutes before I can tell you to come out. And again, if you live anywhere around Lake Whitney, I would go ahead and seek shelter. There's a lot of communities and a lot of homes in and around that lake, and that could easily impact some of those homes too. That is the circulation that we're watching. Again, it is this area. Let me get rid of that here for you. You've got the winds going in, the winds coming out. This is a classic tornado signature on our storm wind mode on our radar, and we have had confirmed reports that this tornado is currently on the ground. It is moving towards the northeast. Let me switch over, and I'm going to give you an updated storm track here for you, for folks that are out ahead of this storm. It's going to be heading into parts of Hill County very shortly, already getting ready to cross into it. Okay, so the circulation now on the west side of Whitney moving north-northeast. It is going to impact folks around the Juniper Cove Park area in about 11 minutes and around the community of Huron in about 28 minutes. The good news is, folks in Hillsborough, I think this storm will pass safely to your west. So don't worry about too much about this storm in Hillsborough, because on its current track, it's likely going to be heading more up towards, say, the Itasca area, up towards Burleson, and into parts of Johnson County in the next 30 to 45 minutes. But as of right now, there is likely a tornado on the ground now just on the west side of Whitney. Let me zoom back in here for you, and I'm going to give you a close-up view of the city of Whitney and where that circulation is in comparison. Again, the circulation is where you see that bright red and that dark blue. That is a very tight circulation, so I have confidence that the tornado is on the ground based on what I'm seeing on the radar. And therefore, folks west of Whitney still stay in shelter. Folks in Whitney, please stay in shelter. The circulation probably passed very close to the Lake Harbor area. Folks in Laguna Park, you still have a lot of strong winds over you, so I would still stay in shelter for a little bit longer. But right now, this storm is now moving over the southern portions of Lake Whitney. Seth, I'm going to pass it back to you here for a second. Let me get the latest information from the Weather Service, and I'll be right back here with you.
I want to bring up a point that I just saw on the Whitney Police Department Facebook page. They're warning you that you're going to be hearing the sirens possibly. They're going to sound those sirens even if it's strong winds, if it's hail, or a tornado. So no matter what threat they're facing there, you may hear those sirens. But you just heard Conley say, take your precautions right now. Be in shelter. That tornado appears to be on the ground near that community. We'll get back to that in just a moment. But a thought that popped in my head as well, if you've got some die-hard Cowboys fans watching that game right now, we're getting word that aren't really cutting in and warning the people that they might be in danger on other TV stations right now. Give them a call. Tell them that there might be a tornado in their neighborhood, especially if they're in, Bosque County, if they're in Coryell County, up into Hill County now. Let them know that they need to be keeping an eye on the weather as well. We don't want anyone to get hurt because they just weren't aware. We're working hard here to make sure you're aware. And we're also working the phones. The emergency management coordinators for both Bosque County and Coryell County have been in contact with the News Channel 25 newsroom. That one confirmed tornado earlier today near the community of Coryell, and then right now that one we're tracking very closely. Conley, you say where is it now exactly, that one that we think is on the ground right now?
So, Seth, confirmation that that tornado probably still on the ground, probably about 5 miles to the west of Whitney, where you see the icon on the screen there. That is where the circulation has been the tightest. We did have a report that maybe the tornado lifted, but it's beginning to circulate again and strengthen. And so that tornado warning is going to continue for Bosque and Hill County until 7 o'clock. Right now, it looks like the circulation, it's going to be closest to some of these Hill County roads of 1228, 1230, and 1231, kind of in that area. But it is also going to be passing there on the south side of Lake Whitney, which there are some communities there on that side of town too. But where you see the bright reds and the bright blues, that is strong indication that that is where the circulation is, and it continues to lift off towards the north-northeast. Folks around the Huron area, please be careful. Go ahead and take shelter if you live in that area. Folks in Laguna Park, the worst of it now has moved away from Laguna Park, but there are still some very strong winds associated with this storm, flying into this storm, so there's probably still a lot of winds across Laguna Park. I would stay in your shelter maybe for about another 5 minutes or so, but this is where the circulation is. Tornado probably on the ground. A very high chance that it is on the ground just to the west of Whitney, traveling north right along the lake, now crossing into the Hill County side. If this path holds, it looks like the worst of it will stay just to the west of Whitney. But as we saw earlier, we had some tree damage and wind damage reports in and around Clifton, which was actually on the west side of the circulation. When you have these dark blues, that is about 60, 70, 80 mile an hour winds that are flowing through Whitney from the south, feeding into that storm. On the backside, where you see the gray and the red, that is about 50 or 70 to 100 mile an hour winds that are on the backside of the storm. And that's why we're in this storm wind mode, because that is what we're looking for, is where that circulation is the tightest. So again, immediately in Whitney, looks like the tornado, if it's on the ground, is actually passing on the west side of town. But even in the city of Whitney, we're probably going to get some wind damage if we've got winds around 60, 70, or 80 miles per hour. Again, storm lifting northward. Folks in Whitney, stay in your shelter. You live anywhere here on the south side of Lake Whitney, please be in your shelter and stay there until the storm has passed. It will continue lifting northward. It is passing well to the west of Hillsborough. So folks in and around Hillsborough, Aquila, you're safe. no need to take shelter. This storm is staying well to the west of you and will continue to pass farther to the north. And as I mentioned earlier, in about 30 to 40 minutes, it's going to head into Hill County up towards around the Blum community. And eventually, once it gets out of Hill County, it'll officially be out of our viewing area, and that will be heading northward towards Dallas-Fort Worth. But these storms, especially if it maintains its circulation, could strengthen even farther to the north. If you've got friends and family in the Dallas-Fort Worth Metroplex, give them a heads up because this storm is likely heading in their direction. Again, this is what we're watching for. The blues and the reds and the greens coming together. That is where the winds are going in and out of the storm, and that is where the circulation is the strongest. So there's likely a tornado on the ground on the west side of Whitney. Okay, the National Weather Service also confirming the tornado based on radar. It's on the northwest side of Whitney. It's also being confirmed by spotters, and it's probably rain-wrapped, more than likely, but they probably can see that lowering anytime we have the flashes of lightning. So tornado confirmed northwest of Whitney. Radar confirmed tornado on the ground. Looking for other information, they're talking about high winds. This is from the emergency manager in Hill County. High winds took out power lines and a transformer along 1713 and a Leisure Lane in Lake Whitney. So folks around Whitney may have already been losing power because of those strong winds, as I mentioned, flowing into that storm. Hopefully you have a weather radio or a backup way to receive watches and warnings. If you have our weather and news app, you can get the latest information. You can be streaming our video live right there on your app as well. But that is where the tornado, it is confirmed on the ground northwest of Whitney, and it continues to pass towards the northeast. But there are strong winds currently in the city of Whitney that are knocking down transformers and knocking down trees as we hold. So the storm itself, as long as it continues to hold, is going to be heading towards the Covington and Blum area. So if you live in Covington or Blum, you've got about 20 minutes or so to prepare. There's also a debris signature, according to the Weather Service, on radar. That's what I'm looking at right now to see if I can kind of confirm that. The radar can actually distinguish, which is amazing technology, but it can distinguish the difference between rain and if there's debris or something unnatural. And every time we see that within a circulation, that's a good indication that the tornado is actually on the ground. So that's what we're watching for. Probably a tornado. Yeah, I can see the debris ball on the northwest side of Whitney, so there's probably some damage. Anyone you know in communities that live on that south side of the lake probably going to be impacted by this. Latest report, we've got damage of power lines and transformers down near Lake Whitney, so part of the city probably without power. But folks in Whitney, please stay in shelter. Folks in Laguna Park, you're safe. Come on out of shelter. If you're watching us in Laguna Park, the worst is over. It is passing towards your north, so come on out of your shelter and you'll be okay. But folks in Whitney, if you live anywhere around Lake Whitney, please stay in shelter here for the next 10 to 15 minutes as a tornado likely on the ground. It looks like it has been confirmed, so there is a tornado on the ground passing northward now into the extreme western areas of Hill County. I want to switch over real quick and just kind of give you a wider perspective of these storms that started out in Coryell County. These storms actually started farther south around Fort Hood. We have had reports of touchdown near the community of Coryell, but things are much better and quieter now across that part of the region, although we are getting more storms, and I'm looking at our Extraco Eagle Eye in Killeen. Lots of heavy rain. We're going to have to watch these storms carefully. There's a lot of spin in the atmosphere, and it just takes one of these storms to get some of that energy to spin up a possible tornado. But the one now storm moving across Lake Whitney, that continues to head off towards the north. Again, this is the tornadic storm crossing Lake Whitney, and as I zoom out, you don't have to zoom out very far, and you can see that line of storms now is already beginning to approach our far western areas. So this is just the beginning. I might be able to catch my breath here in about 30 minutes or so, but once this line of storms roll through, we're going to be talking about straight line winds, 80 miles per hour or higher, lots of lightning, a lot of heavy rain coming with that line of storms. But the main thing we're watching right now is this storm here in Bosque County crossing over into Hill County. So right now, based on the latest scan on velocity, this is the wind going in and out of that storm. Based on this, now the circulation has crossed over into Hill County. It is now officially moved on the other side of the lake. So it is now out of Bosque County, but there are still some strong winds on the backside, probably flowing down towards the Lakewood Harbor area and along that west side of the lake. So the winds are still very strong in and around it. Even if you're not directly impacted by the tornado, you're likely going to have strong winds even outside of it that could cause some damage. And we've already seen lots of reports of transformers being blown and power lines and trees and things like that have been blown down in the city of Whitney. Okay, there's a new tornado warning that's about to come out for this storm. That is going to include Hill County. It's also going to include Johnson County, which is out of our area, but that's going to go until 7:30. Tornadoes still being observed in this storm. So this tornado is on the ground as it continues to move off towards the north and northeast. When you see that word early, what it's doing is the radar is trying to analyze the spin in the atmosphere and how strong these winds are, indicating that we could see a circulation weaken and then a new circulation take over and begin to develop, which is typically what happens with these tornadic storms. They will continue to cycle up and cycle down. So they'll produce a tornado will go away, and then it could produce another one later on, which seems to be what has happened so far this evening. So again, tornado on the ground, south of Huron now. Now it's passing farther towards the northwest and north side of Whitney. Folks in Whitney, I would still stay in your storm shelter for about another 5 minutes or so. Don't come out just yet because we still have strong winds going through the city. Lots of the city probably without power with those transformers being blown down. But this is where the circulation is. This is where the tornado is. Right here where you see those icons, it is likely in this vicinity heading northward towards Huron and will continue into the northwestern parts of Hill County, Covington, the Blum community. You folks go ahead and prepare to take shelter because it's kind of heading in your direction as it continues to lift off towards the north. You live out towards, say, Copperell and Lakewood Village. You're far enough away from the circulation, you're okay, but don't be surprised if you've got some strong winds coming here on the backside of that storm. Now, we're staying with you with this live continuous coverage because a tornado has been confirmed on the ground with this storm. So that is why we are covering a program to give you the latest information. We have a new tornado warning that's going to come out for this storm, which will include the western parts of Hill County, and that will also include the southern parts of Johnson County. Folks around Hillsborough, Peoria, Woodbury, looks like the circulation is going to stay to your west, but you still want to watch it carefully because these strong winds can still cause a lot of damage. We're still getting reports from the Hill County Emergency Manager of a large amount of damage in the 1713 area, trees down and power lines down. Seth, are you getting that information? Let me toss it to you real quick and you can update that.
Yeah, Conley, as far as the damage there in Hill County and in the Whitney area, we're still working with the emergency management coordinators there to get confirmation on that. Let me back it up really quickly and let you know about some confirmation of damage that we do have coming out of Coryell County, where that storm has already rolled through. The emergency management coordinator there, Rob Harrell, has confirmed to us damage to one home, a damage to a barn as well, an overturned 18-wheeler, but no injuries, thankfully, there in Coryell County. A tornado touched down there in the Coryell community, but we aren't seeing on radar anything there right now, and we didn't see before what we're seeing now up there near Whitney in Hill County, what appears to be a very dangerous situation. We are going to continue to try to get the latest information on that. We did see on the Whitney Police Department Facebook page that the tornado sirens could be going off regardless if it's a tornado or not, but all indications are there is a tornado out there. Conley, are you seeing anything that confirms that it would be a tornado near Whitney? Is there some kind of debris ball that you're seeing?
Yes, I still see a little bit of a debris ball, but also based on storm spotter reports and local emergency officials, the tornado is still on the ground. It's going to be approaching, say, the south side of the community of Huron. It is now passing north of Whitney, and it's heading into kind of a rural part of Hill County. It's going to continue to lift off towards the northeast. There's a brand new tornado warning now in effect for Hill County until 7:30 this evening. I do want to relay some more information from the emergency manager, Tom Hemrick, in Hill County. He's reporting a large amount of damage along Highway 17 or Road 1713 area. There's lots of trees down, power lines are down, and we're also getting reports of some houses damaged. So Seth, if you can pass that on to the newsroom, and we'll work on getting some more information about that. So it looks like there has been some damage to homes. Now the 1713 area, that's going to be the area on the west side of Whitney, which is where that circulation passed very shortly ago. So again, it passed through on the Lake Whitney State Park, and then it crossed through that area. So when you went along the 1713 road, which will take you over Lake Whitney and over the Brazos River, We have had reports of damage, trees down, power lines down, and homes that have been damaged. Again, that is just on the west side of the actual proper town of Whitney. So hopefully the worst of it has spared the city of Whitney, which would be a miracle in itself. But we have had reports of some tree damage and power lines down in the city of Whitney, too, earlier this evening. All right, so now it looks like circulation still kind of wrapped up. So the storm may actually be cycling a little bit. The storm itself doesn't look quite as impressive, but we've got to err on the side of caution because it's nighttime. The circulation is probably going to be rain-wrapped, and so we've got to be very careful about that. We're going to err on the side of caution and just make sure that the storm will get out of our area